Good afternoon, and welcome to Hennepin Technical College. I'm excited for everyone to see where the students that are part of the intensive, comprehensive peace officer training, education and training program are taking their classes. The students are the most important part of this program. Those you see here today are from Hennepin Tech, but I don't want to forget their fellow students at Alexandria. Alexandria Technical and Community College students couldn't be here today. They're in class. Hennepin Tech and Alex Tech were identified by Minnesota State colleges and universities as two professional peace officer education programs to offer the first intensive comprehensive program as outlined in the statute. I'm here today to share a little bit about the education that these students receive. Our students start in classes that set a foundational knowledge. They learn about Minnesota criminal and traffic statutes and review case law to understand how these are applied. Students study the U.S. criminal justice system as well as the juvenile justice system. Their foundation stresses policing in multicultural communities to understand how communities experience police behavior and decisions and how it affects a police officer's ability to better serve their community. After completing the lecture courses, students move into the skills-based courses. These courses focus on scenario-based learning that includes interview techniques, report writing, de-escalation skills, mental health training, traffic stops, basic firearms usage, and tactical driving. In scenario-based learning, an instructor divides the class into small groups and role players act out the situation so students have the opportunity to use the techniques they're learning in as realistic of a setting as possible. Instructors and their students debrief each scenario, receiving positive and critical feedback. ICPOET students, our abbreviation for the program, goes through the same training that all Hennepin Tech peace officer students complete. Hennepin Tech focuses on developing officers that support diverse communities and have critical thinking skills that they can call on when in high-stress situations and require split-second decision-making. What makes this program unique is ICPOET students already have a 2- and 4-year degree. Our goal is to reach people who want to make a career transition and who may not have the financial means to do so otherwise. 60% of Hennepin Tech students identify as students of color, Pell Grant eligible, and/or first-generation college students. This program allows our students to make a livable wage while in school. This is critical to diversifying the field so officers reflect the communities they serve. Finally, I would like to thank the governor for his leadership in addressing the shortage of police officers by supporting this program, and invite him to the podium.
Thank you. Well, thank you to Dean Garrett and the folks here at Hennepin Tech and Alexandria Tech. It was great. We were just mentioning up there at the job fair and seeing that facility filled, trying to recruit our officers. I'd like to give a thank you to the law enforcement agencies that are here represented all across Minnesota. These are the folks that show up when the hardest things need to be done. These are the things when folks dial 911 or have those emergencies or are stranded on the road or after an accident. These are the folks that need to be there. These are the folks that Minnesotans depend upon, and they're constantly there. We also know making sure they're equipped with the best equipment, the most modern training is critically important, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the human interactions. It comes down to having enough bodies to be able to do the work so that they're able to respond in a timely manner and be able to make sure we're looking out for the well-being of folks who are being asked to do more and more, in many cases with less and less. And I think that one of those challenges is this is a challenging profession. It's incredibly rewarding. It's noble work. It has the respect of Minnesotans and people across the country, but it's also very, very difficult. It's difficult to do the work, and it's difficult to on family, and we need to do everything we can to make sure we're supporting them across the board. And one of those things goes back to getting enough people to do the job so the burden doesn't fall on fewer and fewer members, making sure shifts are able to be done in a manner that is conducive to folks being able to recover some. And the folks you see here, and you're going to hear from one of these cadets, are folks that are in maybe another part of their career or chose to do something else, but now want to be part of this important work. And being able to recruit and retain them is critically important. And Mayor Winston's not here, but these chiefs and the folks who are here would be able to tell you it's challenging to try and get people there. And when you're doing your training, These mid-career folks, like you're going to hear from Zach, you can't just stop your career, not get paid, and go back to school and be able to maintain your family. So this program, and what we're announcing today is $4.5 million in grants to support the recruitment across 46 law enforcement agencies. This money will be used by folks to provide the training, to provide what's necessary to get these folks ready, to provide the salary while they're doing the training, so folks can move from their current position, their current careers, and move into law enforcement as seamlessly as possible without putting the financial burden or the strains on their families. I know Representative Nelson is here today. I want to give a shout out in a bipartisan manner to the legislature that over the last several years have successfully put over $300 million additional dollars into public safety, much of that going directly to counties and cities to be used in the manner they see fit, and then funding programs like the one we're talking about here today. This is the pathway to get folks in. This is the pathway to make sure the numbers that we have. And again, an ever increasingly complex job to do, one that requires more and more skills and more training. We get a good head start with these folks who already have a good grounding. They have their degrees in place, but now they need the specialty training to be brought into this profession. So I'm incredibly grateful to the folks who are here. I'm grateful to the folks who do this work, and I think it needs to be acknowledged. As I said, this is challenging work, but it's noble work. It's work that we need, and the state of Minnesota remains committed to making sure we're getting the best people out there. So at this time, I want to turn it over to someone who's led in this, who has been able to show the direction, New Brighton's Public Safety Director, Tony Patesnick. So please come. There you go, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Minnesotans expect and deserve to feel safe, no matter where they live, work, travel, or visit throughout our state. They want low crime rates and respected law enforcement agencies that contribute to the overall community. Our goal is to provide this for them, but staffing challenges can make this difficult for us and for our partners across the state. Leading up to this decade, the applicant pool had already shrunk to just a puddle, and we're challenged to find qualified candidates. For example, I tracked just one vacancy in our department. Over the course of 35 months, nearly 3 years, that we tried to fill the position. We offered the job to a dozen different candidates who ultimately, for one reason or another, were unable to successfully complete the conditional hiring steps or withdrew entirely from the process. As a result, in New Brighton, we've shifted from casting a wide net and focused more on targeted recruitment, thanks to the intensive comprehensive program. We specifically marketed this opportunity to those with local connections. Whether residents of our most demographically diverse communities, to former part-time seasonal employees of our Parks and Recreation Department, we reached out. We went to the congregants who worship in our city with the established relationships that we have through our agency's international award-winning Police Faith Community Partnership Initiative. My officers in New Brighton have been clear in telling me, Chief, we'd rather work shorthanded rather than make a bad hire, and I agree with them. We don't want to sacrifice quality and effective policing just to make our staffing numbers. Rather, we want to find candidates who reflect the community and bring with them a variety of life skills that can continue to transform the law enforcement profession. My thanks to those professional peace officer education programs like Hennepin and Alexandria for accepting the challenge of meeting the training and educational needs for our profession, and especially to the intensive comprehensive candidates represented here for their willingness to take a chance on law enforcement. In many cases, these students are sacrificing their established professional careers and personal lives for this season to make a positive difference on public safety in our communities. The financial commitment from the state of Minnesota to pay for both the training and salary costs made this an attractive program. It'd be difficult for us to fund such an initiative independently at the local level. Without this unique opportunity to pursue law enforcement training and education in a condensed format, while also earning a salary for their classroom time, it's likely that many of these students would not have considered serving as a police officer. We look forward to supporting them through this journey, and we hope to be an integral part of this program's success. With that, I'll invite Jeffrey Wild from Alexandria Tech to come up and share a bit of that school's experience.
Well, thank you. My name is Jeff Wild from Alexandria Technical and Community College. I'd like to acknowledge President Michael Seymour is here with us today. And Governor Walz, thank you for your support in this initiative and all you do for our law enforcement professionals. When the governor was in Alexandria last spring, we had a law enforcement career fair. We had 120 agencies in our law enforcement gym recruiting 86 graduates. So he saw the need firsthand for what we're doing here today. So thank you to all of you for being here. Thank you to everyone who has spoken so very highly of our programs and our graduates and our candidates. All of you candidates, thank you for answering the call to serve. Make no mistake, this is a calling. In your time, you'll find yourself affecting so many lives in a positive way. You'll find that you become role models. In this way, this program is generational and will continue. Young people, and maybe some that aren't so young, we see you and the difference you're making. So thank you for answering that call. Let me share a little with you from the Alexandria students who have answered this calling. Jordan Olson of Woodbury said, "The ICPOET allowed me to enter a new career without paying for 2 years of school. It was advertised as a career transfer, which is exactly what I was looking for. The training is fast-paced and facilitated by qualified professionals. We are expected to meet the same high standards set for peace officers as our partners who took the traditional path." When asked, would you have chosen to complete the police training if the ICPOET option was unavailable, Jacob Lillyhagen replied, "No, I can confidently say I chose to go this route because of the ICPOET option. I was a successful logistic director for a large company, but chose to leave for a career I felt was more fulfilling. My friends in law enforcement were always encouraging me to join them, but until there was a program that was less invasive to my personal life, I was not interested. I have a wife, kids, bills, and a mortgage, which makes attending a traditional program much more difficult. Having school expenses covered while being paid to attend school was easily the most influential decision of my life." So when I hear these students speak, it inspires me. I know that in our work together, we're making a difference. Anyone who has driven up Interstate 94 recently has seen the pride that Alexandria College takes in preparing peace officers. For those of you who haven't traveled in that direction recently, the college has a billboard highlighting proudly training peace officers since 1967. Alexandria continues to invest in facilities, equipment, and faculty to ensure that our students receive the best possible training, and this includes our ICPOET students. ATCC graduates roughly 100 students from its peace officer training program each year, and they are all legends, so thank you. My pleasure to introduce Zach Crowley, a Lionel Lakes ICPOET student. Zach?
Hey everyone, I'm Zach Crowley. I'm one of the intensive comprehensive students that you see above you here. I was just going to give you just a brief detail through the eyes of one of the students going through the program currently. I have always had an interest in law enforcement, and I graduated from the University of Minnesota with a degree in psychology. I got into sales 3 or 4 years ago, and 2 years ago I took a strong interest in law enforcement, but it was always a difficult career path to get into due to me having to give up on my full-time job to go to school. And because of this program and what they provide to us financially, that financial burden has kind of been lifted off our shoulders. I know me and a lot of my fellow classmates, this would be an impossible dream to get to if it wasn't for this program. So it's been great. I know a lot of us kind of agree on the same morals of why we're doing this. We all kind of, in our former careers, have been lacking a sense of purpose and to serve something greater than ourselves. And it's a diverse pool. I personally was from sales. I was in tech sales. I worked for a company called Arctic Wolf in Eden Prairie, and I know we have an engineer. We have someone that got their law degree and is in corporate law, someone that was real estate beforehand. And they probably never would be in these shoes that they're in right now if it wasn't for this program. So it's been a great experience so far. We've been really immersed in all of our trainings and education. And I look forward to continuing on to the program, and I hope a lot of others consider this amazing change in career path. And with that, I'd love to hand it back to Governor Walz.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it. Well, thank you to Zach and to all the folks who are here. Commissioner Jacobson is here from the Department of Public Safety, the folks administering the program, and I would just close before we take questions to folks. If you're listening or watching or reading about this program and you're in something else, you've been out there doing some things, Zach just told you, I think, and each one of these stories would kind of be the same way. This is an opportunity to get into service and to join the ranks of these professionals. Minnesota needs you. It's noble work. We're going to make sure that you don't sacrifice financially and we don't set you back, and you're able, I think I heard term of laterally transfer into this and get the training and keep the high standards that's expected by these folks behind me. This is the program for you. So I'm really grateful we have the resources to be able to do this. As I said, 46 agencies will receive $4.5 million to get folks into this profession. So grateful with that, and we'll be glad to take any questions, folks who are up here. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Bob Jacobson, Commissioner of Public Safety. I appreciate the question on the funding. The legislature, as the governor mentioned, and the governor worked together to provide the funding for this program, $5 million over the course of 2 years. That funding now will run out at the end of this biennium. We have been able to, or will be able to, train and get ready about 94 police officers out of this process. We know that it's been successful. You can see the stories here today, the story from Zach. You can see those students around us. You've heard from others that this has been a very successful program, and the Department of Public Safety would certainly support programs such as this in the future. But of course, that will end up being a legislative decision as we approach this next legislative session. The question was, how do students access the funding? This is a process just like hiring for a police officer at any other location. So applicants will respond to a hiring process. They will apply to local law enforcement agencies to be able to get through their process. They go through a background investigation, et cetera, so that they can become a part of that. The application then for funding then goes through the Department of Public Safety, and then is funded through the Department of Public Safety for those agencies and for those officer candidates.
I'd just like to make one public safety note, too, for all these folks here at this time of year, the holidays. I received my weekly public safety briefing. It's coming to the end of the year, and it was noted that this year Minnesota saw a 15% increase in road fatalities. And that was presented by the State Patrol, but it wasn't presented to me as 15% increase. It was presented with 60 names of people who are not going home to their family because of traffic accidents, preventable traffic accidents. 70% of those were in greater Minnesota. So as the holidays and as a little bit of snow is coming down, the Department of Public Safety and agencies across are looking at things like impaired driving, but it's the distracted driving. It's paying attention. It's staying off the phone again, where we were making progress on that. So I would just make the case the way the State Patrol makes it. The reason we focus so much on this, and the reason that for many, many years Minnesota had and continued to have one of the safest sets of roads in the country because of the work of the people here and because of Minnesotans following this. We need to reverse this trend so that those 60 people and others go home. And our mantra is towards zero deaths, and we're still committed to that. So I would just make a plea to everyone: pay a little more attention, get home safely, know that these folks are out there to make sure that that happens. So with that, I think we're going to take a little tour. Get to see a little bit. All right.